ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ फिफ्थ मंत्र इह चेदवेदीत् अथ सत्यमस्ति न चेदिहा वेदी महती विनष्टिः भूतेषु भूतेषु विचित्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्माल्लोकादमृता भवन्ति इह चेद अवेदित अथ सत्यमस्ति न चेदिहा वेदित महती विनष्टिः इह अस्मिन् जन्मनि अस्मिन् मनुष्य जन्मनि while you are in this manushya shariram, you should know this limitless Brahman which you are. If you don't know, if you don't know limitless Brahman which is your real nature, your loss is limitless. And therefore, basically, Mahati Vinashtihi means this. How will I know that I am Brahman? Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha pretya asmal lokad amritaha bhavanti. Bhuteshu bhuteshu. So these wise people definitely become immortal after knowing the self as limitless, knowing the self as Brahman in all the beings. Means I am Brahman, I am limitless and I cover all. Any I in any living being is I. There is only one I. That's what we have to see now. So the word Bhuta has two meanings, and we have seen that both the meanings, of course, we have seen. Bhuta is a living being, we can say. And living being of four types, that also we have seen: Udbija, etc., Andaja, Svedaja, and etc., Jarayuja. And then the one word Bhuta also has another meaning called elements. That's the five elements. And whatever is born of five elements, all that is elemental. That elemental world which covers these inner things, not that also can be considered Bhuta. All the living beings can be called Bhuta. So either whatever is there in this creation, living being or non-living being, everything is I. That's what then only once you know you are limitless, then only you can become immortal. There is no chance. If one knows oneself a limited being and at the same time being immortal, it is impossible, because you consider limited. Limited means limited in time. Therefore, limited in times means definitely Janma and Mrityu both comes. And therefore, if you know you are limitless, then limitless will be in all the aspects. That is time-wise and object-wise and etc., place-wise or space-wise. So you should know you are Brahman. That's what it means. Then only Amritaha Bhavanti, they become immortal after knowing that I am Brahman. So this is how it has been told here. And so, and Atha Satyamasti, that also we have seen. Iha cheda vedit mahati, iha cheda vedit atha satyamasti. If knows, then my life becomes a reality. My life becomes purposeful. I have served the purpose. If till I don't know, well, definitely I am living in a dream world, in a false world. Because if I consider myself as a experiencer, a mere individual, a conscious being, and I experience varieties of the things, etc., and the world is real, etc., all that is just a dream world. Basically, because in dream also you have that experience, that you are a dreamer, experiencer of a dream world, and there is a dream world. And then, the very experience in form of cognitions, etc., or a thought, everything is real in a dream world. But that is, if you wake up, then you really know that the entire thing was asat. Same way, right now also in the waking state, we consider ourselves as an experiencer, and the experience world is different from me, and the form of experience in varieties of the cognitive thoughts, etc. Well, everything you consider distinct, and well, that's a wrong understanding. So if you know that you are limitless, means all the three are you, and all the three are basically false. You transcend all the three. Then that's a reality, and that is satyamasti, because that is the purpose, to give you the human body, and you have served the purpose, and therefore atha satyamasti means you can say that way also. So, well, I am not the truth of just this body, etc. I am the truth of every body also, you can say. Every element, every elemental, everything that is here is me. That's what it means. So, well, the individuality having its own attributes, etc., well, basically is false, and I am the truth of every individual. I am truth of everything is the correct thing. Then says asman lokat pretya, giving up the notion that I am this body. Lokaha means lokyate iti lokaha, one's own experience of the body, mind, sense complex, and taking their attributes as oneself. So this abhimana is called lokaha. So pretya means dying to this loka. Dying to this loka means dying to this abhimana, atma abhimana basically. So aham mama abhimana lakshanat lokat pretya. Aham mama aham and mama, that both are identification we have seen yesterday. Aham abhimana tadatmya adhyasa, mama abhimana sansarga adhyasa, my body, etc. That is also adhyasa. There is nothing called my. Nothing called mine. Because to say mine, there should be two things. To say my wealth, definitely wealth is one thing, and I am the one who is a possessor of the wealth. There is another thing. So that sambandha, well, sambandha is possible, sansarga is possible. Sambandha or sansarga, it's one thing. That is possible when there are two real things. So I and the body both should be having equal reality. It is not. Then how can you say? Well, prove the body without consciousness. No problem. Prove. Then, just pull, kick the body. Kick the body out of consciousness. Kick the senses out of consciousness. Kick your mind sense of consciousness. And let's see whether they exist independent. If they exist, then that is one thing and you are another one. A conscious being one thing and the body is another thing. And you will have a relationship. No problem. And you can have a relationship of mine and my, etc., etc. But there is nothing like that. Nothing is out of consciousness. We are going to see that. Nothing is out of consciousness. I am limitless. Brahman means there is nothing other than me. There is nothing like me, etc. And therefore, there is no question of having a relationship with anything. So that is how Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am basically Chidananda Rupa. I am Asanga Atma. And therefore, all these elements are also not there, and I have no relation with that, etc. Anyway, it will be too much then. Asman lokat pretya. So aham mama lakshana abhimanat lokat pretya. So in other words, dying to this notion, basically, that I am this much alone, one is free from this bondage. This samsara. So this is samsara. Aham mama is a samsara. What is the cause? Somebody sansara means basically sorrow and all. That is what it is. If there is no mama, there is no sorrow. There is no sorrow. You are grieving for somebody who is yours, for whom you are not grieving for the whole world. That jnani may grieve, suppose, let's say, because his aham is placed in everyone. So therefore, But basically he has knowledge also. That's how he doesn't grieve. Ishvara does not grieve. This is the reason. He is identified as everything and does not grieve because knowledge. That's how it is. So expansion of I and at the same time knowledge. When there is a question of grief then. So basically understanding the Adhisthana. So if you know Adhisthana, and that is how it is possible. You can identify everything. That's how Jnani identifies. Really speaking, don't feel that Jnani has that drashti that, everything is Brahman and there is nothing and all that. When he transacts in the world, he feels that he is in the Ishvara. He basically, you can call Jnani also as a this drashti that I am Ishvara, really speaking. If he identifies with name and form, he can tell I am Ishvara, really. And Jnani Purusha tells also like that. I am Ishvara. Because as his eye is placed now in everything. Bhuteshu vichitya. Well, we'll see that. But if he considers himself along with the name and form, he can tell I am Ishvara. Identifying with all names and forms. And without identification, he says, well, I am Brahman. That's how it is. So all the time, Pujya Swami used to tell, I remember, then whatever thought arises in his mind, whatever happens in his mind, he says it is Ishwar Srushti. Because there is no Jiva Srushti. Jiva was there only when ignorance was there. If ignorance has gone, then there is Ishwar Srushti. And therefore, I don't think that he has no vision at all. He does not see name and form and he sees everything. He recognizes you when you go there. He doesn't ask you the question, hey, who are you? He doesn't ask you that question. In fact, they have much memory than us. They know their names and everything. Our family members' names and everything they know. They have a very sharp memory, in fact. They remember everything, minute details of every family and every member. So when he is seeing name and form, being embodied in one name and form, seeing another name and form, so don't think that he is identified with one name and form. That's a ignorance. He identifies with all names and forms. He can say, I am Ishvara. Really. So, identifying, he says, I am Ishvara, because he is in the Ishvara Srushti. And without identification, well, all these are mithya. Basically, I am limitless. So, he has a Brahma Drashti also. Everything is me, he can say. Or everything is Ishvara, he can say. Either way, he can say. So, only two things. Either if you are in a Ishvara Srushti, well, there is no question of grief. No question of grief. In Ishvara Srushti, there is no grief. In Jiva Srushti, there is all grief. Because in Jiva Srushti, there is a limitations and there are likes and dislikes and all this. This is Jiva Srushti. Likes and dislikes. This is really beautiful. This is really ugly. This is all your vision. In Ishvara Srushti, there is nothing called ugly and nothing called beauty, etc. That's all your concept. Something is good and bad and this and that and manam and apmanam and all this. Favorable, unfavorable, everything is Jiva Srushti. Everything has dropped. And therefore, basically, he may have his own likes and dislikes in terms of preferences, and that will be there throughout the life. But it doesn't bother much. He does not give much reality to that. So anyway, one does not travel, therefore, one is free from the bondage, samsara, and therefore one does not travel, nor one is born again. And well, other people will go to various lokas, fields of experience after death, and at the end of it, well, they are again born, only to die. Swamiji, wait a minute, don't go ahead. Yeah, what's the question? Question is, if I won't realize that I am Brahman, then what will happen to me? I am putting efforts day and night, and then what will happen? Then, well, you will be born again, then what can I say? Oh, then I will be born again, then what about my homework? Then why should I listen you right now? Let me listen in the next life. Therefore, in next life, I will start from the beginning. I will request to Ishvara that from the day one onwards, I should have a facility of listening scriptures and everything. Well, don't worry at all. Your homework will not go anywhere. Prapya punya kritan lokan ushitva shashvati samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yoga prashto abhijayate athva yogi nameva kule bhavati dhimatam etaddi durlabhataram loke janme yadidrusham. So Bhagavan says very beautifully, well, don't worry, I will give you a human birth and give you where you can continue your yatra, and therefore try to acquire whatever you can in this life, including Sanskritam. Whatever you will do, the Sanskrit homework also, if you do, all homework will remain intact. Not in terms of books, etc., will come along with you, but it will be there here. So when you start Sanskritam in next life, but Swamiji, why are you giving this kind of blessing? I am not giving that blessing. Yeah, I wish that you gain here right now. But what I am saying is, this is how we think. We have a worry. Our object of worry has become different now. That's the only thing. Earlier we were worrying about something else. Now we worry about this. When will I get jnanam? When will I get jnanam? When will I get moksha? This is another problem. And therefore, even though you are moksha, but you think of moksha well in the future. So this is going to happen, and therefore don't worry about it. This is, you will definitely gain. That's Ishvara's job. He is a karmaphala data, and he will put you in a proper place. So athava yoginameva kule bhavati. Yoginam kule bhavati. So either in yogis kula, where the parents are having a knowledge, or they have an atmosphere of Vedic atmosphere. You will be born there, and so your yatra will be faster. That also tells, Bhagavan says in the 6th chapter, that definitely he is united with the knowledge which he has acquired in the past life, and he speedily goes ahead. And we see also some of the students, their understanding and everything becomes so fast. And then we realize, we sometimes wonder how it is possible. He is also studying under the same teacher. He picks up Sanskrit faster. He picks up shloka, understanding of shloka faster. Fatafat. So we sometimes get an envy also. I am also studying, I am putting a lot of effort. How can he gain get clarity more than me? Etc. etc. So this is how it is. This is because he must have started earlier than you. What can we say? That's what it is. Anyway, that's a reality. So knowing the truth of this non-dual self, one is liberated by living. Bhuteshu, present in every living being. The self is present in every living being. That is how his vision is. And so, when the body dies, of course, for this person, there is no return. But there is no individuality left anymore. Individual has to come. An individual has an account. If individual is not there, where is account? Account holder is an individual. So where is account then? It has gone to Samashti. Account has gone to Samashti. That is how it is. So if the physical, so this is how, all these are implied in the sentence Asmal lokat pretya amrutaha bhavanti, means they will not return, etc. And those who know this truth are called dhiraha. Here in this mantra, dhiraha, wise people. Those who are qualified to know, they also are dhiraha. Like us, we are also called dhiraha. And the people who have already known the truth, they are also dhiraha. So knowing this Vastu, knowing this Atma, in form of Brahman is limitless Brahman. Knowing this self as the self of all, dhiraha, not bound by time anymore, because I am limitless. Therefore, there is no question of going and coming and taking birth and death and everything gone. Everything is kicked off. Limitless means limitless. I was there all the time, and I am there, and I will be there forever. That's all. This is a knowledge. I was there even before the creation, and then I am right now even while the creation is, and even if the creation goes, everything will resolve into me. That is how in Kaivalya Upanishad this has been described. Mayeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam, mayi sarvam layam yati. This is how the vision is. Mayeva sakalam jatam. In any creation, in any kalpa will be born from me. So that's but Swamiji, it is born of Maya. But where Maya is not independent entity. Maya is resting in you, sir. Maya is resting in you. Once ignorance goes, there is no difference. Ignorance is one which was creating a difference between Maya Upadhi and Ajnana Upadhi and this Upadhi and that Upadhi. If ignorance goes, where is the question of now keeping you away from the Ishvara? What is that which will keep you away from Ishvara? The same Brahman which was considered himself or herself as an individual, it was Ajnana. That's a Karana Shariram. Now that itself has gone. That's how they Videha Mukti, we always talk about that he merges into Brahman. But that's reality. That we can understand. It's so logical. Because basically this ignorance or the Karana Sharim is one which was keeping the distance. The distance was from Ishvara was in terms of ignorance. Where is other distance? There is no distance. So if ignorance has gone, well then you are Brahman. And so you can say you are Jagat Karanam. No, Swamiji, that is Maya Upadhi and my Upadhi is Ajnana. Then don't claim Jnanam. If you say I have Ajnanam, that is my Upadhi. Now then where is the question of Jnanam? So whence that ignorance goes, people come late. Anyway, so what is my point is, ignorance is creating a notion in you that I am a jiva, I am individual, and therefore Ishvara is different from you. If that goes, while living I am talking, while living, well, that ignorance goes, then you are Brahman. Then, well, definitely any Upadhi, well, called Maya Upadhi also is resting in you. Because you are Brahman now. So there is no other Brahman where Maya is, you have a Ashraya. The same Brahman, there Maya is Ashraya. And so that is how any Jnani says that I am Jagat Karana. That's what I am saying you, this Kaivalya Upanishad says. Mayeva Sakalam Jatam. From me alone everything is born. So please understand this Maya Upadhi and Ajnana Upadhi, and therefore this Upadhi and after Jnanam also these two Upadhi. Don't think that way. So far as your ignorance is there, you will have a distance. Ishvara has no distance from you. No, Swami, Ishvara has a Maya Upadhi, so he will feel he is Ishvara and he is not a Jiva. Hey, he is not Ishvara then. If he says that I am Ishvara and Jiva is different from me, he is not Ishvara, he is Jiva. If he takes himself as an individual different from you, where is the question of Ishvaratva? Ishvara means he is identified everywhere with everything. Therefore, even with a Maya Upadhi, he identifies with everything. So in Ishvara's eye, you are not different from him. In your eye, you are different from Ishvara. Understand? Therefore, definitely, otherwise, if Ishvara also has that kind of a notion that, well, I am different from so and so individual, then where is the question of Ishvaratva? Ishvara identifies everything through Maya Upadhi. That is the Upadhi which makes you identify with everything. Because everything comes from Maya. And therefore, if every name form comes from Maya, every body comes from Maya ultimately through the five elements, then he identifies with everything. And that is how, well, Ishvara is in his eye, everyone is in him. All the names and forms, basically he says, I am seeing through all the eyes and I am walking through all the legs. His eye is so big, so vast. His eye is so vast. Therefore, he doesn't have that kind of a sense of limitation, samsara, etc. He doesn't have. So definitely, and he is Sarvajna. Of course, he knows also I am Brahman, etc. So the moment Jiva drops the notion that I am an individual, etc., or I am body, I am this, etc., well, he identifies with everything. Anyway, so if physical body is taken as to be, Atma, then naturally the self is subject to death. This person becomes Amritaha Bhavanti. So that we are seeing, the self survives death, and therefore it is taken to be independent of the physical body. And when the Jiva recognizes the truth of himself, then that I am timeless, etc., he has become free from the time. But even in case Jiva does not recognize, well, the truth about himself, that he is timeless, etc., well, still he is there. He will be there. He will not die. Because Jiva basically is centered on consciousness. And therefore, there is no Jiva other than the consciousness. Jiva is consciousness. Jiva is Brahman. And therefore, even one doesn't know, one will be around all the time. There is no death of Jiva also, as a Jiva, under the spell of ignorance. There is no... So, well, only thing he considers himself as an individual with a certain account. Then from the account something will come out. Some fixed deposit will be ready. And so he has to experience those punyas and papas, and so he will gain a new gross body, definitely. As a jiva also, he does not die. And well, if jiva realizes, well, that I am just consciousness, I am timeless consciousness, limitless consciousness, well, then there is a question of taking birth. And therefore, consciousness is eternal, and therefore, even if the ignorance of oneself as a limited jiva, etc., will also continue, and until it is eliminated by the knowledge. And so death does not terminate the jiva. Only we should understand that death is only for the physical body. So even if he doesn't know, he nothing to worry. Jiva never dies. Jiva is anadi, basically. Very jivatvam goes away. By the sake of, with the help of knowledge, jivatvam goes away. Jiva realizes that this jivatvam has arisen from the consciousness. Consciousness is a reality. This jivatvam, the individuality, is not a reality. That's a notion born of the identification with these three gross bodies. I mean the three bodies, basically. So that is how I was earlier known as a Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna, etc. But basically I am the Sakshi of all the three, and Sakshi of Ahankara. I am the witness, and witness consciousness is this limitless consciousness. There is no dimension for me, etc. etc. We'll see that. We'll see it. We'll start the topic. Atma is Brahman, that is I am Brahman, etc. We'll start that. So because this is the last mantra. Afterwards, I think Brahma Vidya is over. So then the story, etc. starts. Very beautiful story. But so before we conclude, I would like to once again go not to the Pratibodha Viditam, but some other way. We'll see that this consciousness is one alone, and therefore non-dual, limitless, etc. We'll see that. Anyway, so death is only for the physical body. Jiva assumes a sukshma shariram, a subtle form, at the time of death, and leaves this physical body only to be born again. So it is just assuming another body. I mean, subtle body is there, but he is in the form of a sukshma sharira now, jiva, after the death. So like you definitely, the jiva gets a subtle body, subtle physical body, and he remains in that form and experience other things. So it is like the dream world, where the subtle dream body has transaction with the dream world. So again comes back to the gross body, new gross body, and definitely he gains a birth, we call, and then experience this physical world. So it is possible, because the jiva definitely goes to the different types of bodies, from this gross body to the another gross body, from the waking gross body to the dream gross body. He can go and experience a different world. Therefore, it is possible that this jiva who does not die with the death of physical body will acquire a new physical body, and will enter there and experience again the physical world, depending upon the karma and his vasanas, basically, which we generally call as a upasana. Vasana is upasana. That is how I have thought over all the time. So most of the people says whenever Brihadaranyaka Upanishad we give a quote of, say, we have not done. You said everybody is born of karma and upasana, but we have not done any upasana. But I am telling you, you have done karma or not, that also you don't know. Why you are talking about upasana? How many karmas you have done, and what type of karmas you have done? Tell me of the past life. So how are you objecting to upasanas? You might have done. And upasana means a dhyanam. You yourself are responsible for your future body. That is what dhyanam you have done. That is what our Bharata has done, the dhyanam of that one deer all the time. So gain that body. Yammam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitam. So whatever you all the time think about yourself in the future, in future I will be this and I will be that and I will be that, well, that is upasana. Constantly meditating upon your future and your status in the future, your position in the future, your stage in the future, well, definitely you will gain it. You will definitely gain it. That is upasana. Even you say, I have not done Ishwar Upasana, you are so proud of it that you have not done. But definitely, this kind of dhyanam you have done. That's how Bhagavan says, take care. Take care that, but Swamiji, Bhagavan said at the last moment, Whatever the thought comes, that body I will get. Yeah, but the whatever you have thought throughout the life, that only will come at the death time. Yeah, you will not have any choice. At the death time, I will think about a devata and then I will become devata. You don't have any choice because it's a death period. Your will does not work there. Whatever vasana is predominant. In fact, will is predominant in a young age. As you grow old, vasana is the predominant. And therefore, at that time, again, will becomes predominant. That will is not going to happen. That is how a young person is able to change the habit. A old person is never able to change the habit. Yeah, old person never. Swamiji, what can we do now? He is having that smoking habit since so many years now. How will it go? If I tell to a young person to give up a habit of a drink, a hard drink, or even this, he can give up because the will is powerful in a young age, and vasanas are powerful in a old age because so many experiences. Abusing the will, he has undergone a varieties of experiences which he should not have experienced. And then so vasana impression has become so strong. Now that is the hold of his to his personality. And such person is on a deathbed. So how the will is going to be predominant? So whatever the vasanas are there, that is how he is going to think. Yam yam vapi smaran bhava. That only will appear. Then it's very risky that at the end, on the deathbed, I will think of something very good birth and very good sharira, and then I will get that sharira. It is not going to happen that way. Anyway, so this is upasana we have done. I mean, this is we should know. Anyway, so there is no birth for this person who recognizes oneself as limitless consciousness. So how does one see this Satyam Brahma in everything? I am limitless and everything exists in me. Yeah, everything exists in me. So whatever exists in every living being, that is you. Really? Yeah. And what about these inert things, all elementals, and you are telling, that is also you? Yeah, that is also you. So I am limitless? Yeah, you are limitless. There is no boundary for you. There is no boundary of one physical body or another physical body. In fact, all the bodies are in you. Really? Yeah, that is the thing. That is the reality. Okay, we'll see that now. So basically, bhuteshu vichitya, bhuteshu is a locative, right? Bhuteshu, seventh case. In seventh case, plural. So, today is a surprising, many people have joined now. Anyway, what I am saying is bhuteshu, so it is locative. This means Atma has a location, bhuteshu. In every living being I should know. So, well, I would have, basically, if that is if that is the thing, I would have seen through all the bodies to know that Atma. So, in every body I will have to have some microscope or something, and then see that everything, consciousness is present. Oh, and that consciousness is this consciousness. But this statement is very, very confusing. Bhuteshu means every living being, one should know that Atma is present. So the bodies are thousands and thousands. Bhuteshu. Therefore Atmas are also thousands and thousands. That is how it will be. In every bhuta, one will know Atma. Oh, he is a conscious being. Oh, he is also a conscious being. Oh, he is also a conscious being. I mean, he is consciousness, Swami, not conscious being. What are you talking? Okay, he is consciousness. She is consciousness. She is consciousness. He is consciousness. He is consciousness. Oh. Earlier I was thinking body is the Atma. Okay, your knowledge has told Atma, Anatma, Viveka, Shrotrasya, Shrotram, everything. So in every body I will find now consciousness. But there are 600 millions, billions, I think 600 billions. Or whatever, 6 billion, whatever. So therefore, in all the bodies, that is, I am talking about human being, all living beings, it has been told here. Bhuteshu. How many living beings? So many bodies, so many consciousnesses. I am making this. There is no plural of consciousness in the English. I am making it now, right now. Consciousnesses. And therefore, so many Atmas. And now our responsibility is, Well, if so many consciousness is there, the Vedanta has gone to the ocean. So there is one non-dual consciousness, one non-dual or one limitless consciousness. If you say limitless, it is non-dual, sir. There is no other limitless consciousness. If you say there is one limitless consciousness and there is another limitless consciousness, and therefore there are two, well, then both are limited. If you say limitless, you need not tell non-dual. Or if you say non-dual, it is limitless. What is limitless is non-dual, what is non-dual is limitless. Either way. Anyway, so previously I was counting body, now I transcend the body and count these Atmas with the help of you have given knowledge of Atma and Atma Viveka in Kenopanisad. So if Atmas are many, well, then definitely one cannot gain this result. What? Amrutaha bhavanti. You can never become free from the mortality. If Atmas are many, you cannot become free from the mortality. Well, they have to withdraw the statement. Amrutaha bhavanti. They should withdraw the statement if Atmas are many. Every Atma is limited, definitely. Limitless Atmas cannot be limitless. There are many limitlesses. You cannot tell. If so, Atmas are many, every Atma is a limited entity. And limited entity means definitely subject to birth and death. And so, knowing such Atma, well, one can never gain Amritatva. One cannot become free from mortality. Okay, so now pay attention what I am saying now. You are paying attention, but I am drawing your attention to go systematically. See, if you remember, we divided into two things. I mean, the creation divided into two things. One is I, another is non-I. And well, all the steps I won't go. We have gone several times, even in the Tattvabodha and other places. So basically, what is object of knowledge for you is not you. That's we have seen. I am the one who is a conscious being, who is conscious of, who is aware of whatever the objects of knowledge are there. I mean, let's forget about the world right now. Bhuteshu, take this as a living being. I am a living being. Who am I, basically? Just think that. Nothing else. Don't analyze any other object. I am a living being, and analyze yourself, and you will find that yes, ultimately I am the one who is limitless consciousness, and therefore there is no other thing. Anyway, so basically this I am a limitless consciousness, we will have to arrive, and we start with this. So here the physical body is an object of knowledge, definitely. And therefore, I am aware of this physical body, I am aware of the mind, I am aware of the senses, I am aware of my intellect, I am aware of my ignorance, I am aware of my hunger, thirst, prana, etc. And I am aware of my smriti, my memory, I am aware of my ignorance, etc. And therefore, basically, I am aware, I am a conscious being. And all this in this living being, all this other than that I conscious being is a object of knowledge. And definitely it is not me. That much I can say. And so I am basically I am aware, I am a conscious being. And the content of this conscious being is consciousness. Right? Content of this conscious being who is conscious of physical body, senses, mind, memory, intellect, emotion, ignorance, and well, everything. Well, the content of this conscious being is consciousness. That much we can understand. And you can, now I just replay, I put all these things into a different words now. Just see this. We have done that. So basically in consciousness there are words heard. Right? Earlier I was telling I am a conscious being and what I hear is different from me, etc. etc. Shrotrasya Shrotram, we have seen all these things. I am different from this sense organ of hearing and the object of hearing called words, etc. Everything I am distinct from that, I am subject. Now let's replace it with other words. These are the words which will make you a contemplative person and will lead you to where I want to lead you, basically. So, in consciousness, these words heard. I am consciousness, and all these words are heard in my presence. So when the word is heard, consciousness is. And otherwise, I cannot definitely hear. If I am not a consciousness, the words can't be heard. So when the word is no more spoken, is no more heard. So, but is there a consciousness or not? Well, definitely, consciousness is. Even if Swami speaks, Swami stops for some minutes, he doesn't speak, suppose. So words are not heard. So consciousness is or not? Consciousness is. That is how I say. Because of the consciousness, I am able to say, I am not, the Swami is not speaking. Words are not heard. So words are heard, consciousness is. Words are not heard, consciousness is. This is how. Now let's go ahead. Awareness, consciousness is when forms are seen. And consciousness is when the forms are not seen. If you close your eyes. If you close your eyes, well, you say forms are not seen. Then forms are not seen, consciousness is. Forms are seen, open the eyes. Forms are seen, consciousness is. Words are spoken, consciousness is. Words are not spoken. I am talking about vachoha vacham. Vachoha vacham. Shrotrasya shrotram, chakshusha chakshuhu, vachoha vacham. So, definitely, words are spoken, consciousness is. Words are not spoken, consciousness is. This much you can understand. Now, fourth thing. What is the fourth thing? Pranasya prana. Hunger is, consciousness is. Thirst is, consciousness is. Hunger is not, consciousness is. Thirst is not, consciousness is. And therefore, pranasya prana, what is left over? Shrotrasya shrotram, vachoha vacham, pranasya prana, chakshusha chakshuhu, etc. etc. Anyway, manaso manaha. When thought is, mind is. But let's keep it away for a time being. Manaso manaha, keep it away. Let's take this much. So anyway, but let's take manaso manaha. Even when, okay, thought is, consciousness is. Thought is not, consciousness is. Perhaps I may forget later. So let us add it. Let us add it, that thing also. That is how we know I am consciousness. Right? This is my responsibility to know that I am consciousness. I am the subject who is consciousness. And other than that, in this living being, in this bhuta, bhuteshu, in this living being, other than this is basically all objects of consciousness. I am just consciousness. Okay. So when the thought goes, consciousness is, and generally an object of thought is consciousness is, and the object of thought is gone. That is, the thought is gone, consciousness is. Because object of thought and thought cannot be independent. Could you follow what I am saying? Object of thought and thought could not be independent, because thought will always be in the form of object. The mind assumes a form of an object, that is called thought. It's a modification of the mind, and therefore thought, well, of course, even you don't have a thought of a given object exists independently. That is we are not discussing that. But you definitely require thought to say object is. That much. So a thought will be always in the form of an object. So we say object of the thought. But anyway, the object of thought is gone, means a thought is gone, consciousness is. This is clear to you. Now put it differently. Space is consciousness. We are now moving out of this, because basically I am consciousness. And that's what I told you. Then the Shastra would not have told you Tadeva Brahma. That consciousness is Brahman. That is Mahavakya. So we will have to go ahead now. Come out of this body. Because I am consciousness. My responsibility is over. No. You are consciousness, that is correct. And maybe you say you don't have a form. That is also correct. Because thought has a form. Well, you say thought is consciousness is, thought is not consciousness is. And therefore, basically you are not the thought. You are not this, you are not mind. Everything has a form. Physical body has a form. Senses have some form. And name also. Of course, name we are not interested right now. And object of, memory has a form. Everything has a form. And definitely, and therefore, you are the consciousness. You may think that it is formless. If it is formless, then what kind of a form, what kind of a dimension it has, etc. So we have to discover that. But for that matter, let us come out now, because already this is proved as an object of consciousness. This is not basically you. Okay. So in a bhuta, in a given living being, basically one can discover that Atma, that I, is not just conscious. Being is consciousness. And therefore this much is clear to me. Because when object is there, I can call myself as a conscious being who is conscious of that object. But that all resolves. And we have seen yesterday in Panchadashi, even if either of them is not there, or in a deep sleep state almost everything is not there, but still you exist. And therefore definitely, even an object of consciousness is not there. Well, the conscious being will remain in his content, that is consciousness. And therefore, you are consciousness by nature. That is your content, that is your nature. That much is clear. When any object appears, you become a conscious being and you say, I am aware of that object. But if nothing is there, well, definitely you are just a consciousness. Okay. So the space is in awareness. The space is awareness is. Space is not, suppose, like a deep sleep state. So you are not aware of the space in a deep sleep. So where there is no space, still awareness is or consciousness is. So, the same way, time. You have to take these two together, time and space. So, I know that there is no time, no space in, no memory, etc. in sleep. So, basically, and therefore time is consciousness is, time is not consciousness is, space is consciousness is, space is not consciousness is. And therefore, so in sleep I did not know anything, means I was not aware of, that's what my deep sleep state indicates, that even they are not there, I am there. And so, sleep is awareness is, and time is awareness is, time is not awareness is. Basically, during deep sleep state, of course, you are not aware of deep sleep state, that's correct. But that is the state, you are there in deep sleep state, that we have already discovered. So anyway, so time is awareness is, time is not awareness is, space is awareness is, space is gone awareness is. And now does the awareness, what is the dimension? That's what the point is. That is the question mark. To discover myself as limitless, this is the question mark. What is the dimension of this consciousness which exists, please understand, which exists in absence of space, which exists in absence of time, which exists in absence of body, which exists in absence of mind, which exists in absence of sense organs, right? Because we have seen forms of the objects of sight are consciousnesses. They are not consciousnesses. I is, consciousness is. I is not consciousnesses. That's how you say, I am not able to see now. I am not able to hear. How do you say otherwise in absence of consciousness? And therefore basically, in this living being, if they are there, I am there. Anvaya Vyatireka. If they are not there, I am there. So I am invariable consciousness. Right? Yesterday somebody asked me, what is the dimension of consciousness? Now I am asking you, what is the dimension of consciousness? Include space and time. Same way, space is consciousness is, time is consciousness is. Even if they are not there, you know very well, in deep sleep state there is no concept of time. You are not aware of space, not aware of time. And you exist without space and time. Then what is the dimension? Any dimension is within the space. Length, breadth, everything will be in space. Any dimension always exists in space. Of course, time also comes, but I am not including that factor right now. So, does this consciousness have a dimension or not? Well, and if there is a dimension, how many inches? How big is the consciousness? How big is the consciousness? Well, awareness has no form. If the concept of space goes, the concept of form also goes. That's how it is. Concept of space and concept of form. Because any form you always see in space. Whether you take a notice of that space or not, that's not the criteria. Any form is always within the space. And the very space itself is not there. You are not aware of, and yet you are there. So you are there in absence of space, then definitely you are formless. Please understand, and any point if you don't understand me, ask me on, not today, ask me on Tuesday. But keep a note, keep a track, and if I am losing the track, you can bring me to the track. But these are the steps ultimately to know that the consciousness is Brahman. And therefore, if space is consciousness is, space is not consciousness is, then definitely, well, I don't have any form. Because in absence of space I exist. Try to think about your form without space. Try to think. No form. No form. Any form, if you think, immediately space comes. And therefore, basically, awareness or consciousness has no form. And all forms are object of consciousness. All forms are object of consciousness. Consciousness has no form. So drop the idea, what is the dimension of the consciousness? Drop that idea. And so, since consciousness has no form of its own, consciousness is called formless. So it has no form to be called as a this big or that big, etc. It has no height, it has no length, it has no breadth, it has no front, it has no back, it has no left, it has no right, it has no above, it has no below. Why? Because there is no form. And therefore, but Swamiji, any Upanishad says that, yeah, any Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, consecutive 2 mantras are there. I don't know the numbers right now, don't ask me that. But it is either at the end of the first chapter of the Mundaka, that is at first Mundaka's end or second Mundaka's end. But it is there. Consecutive 2 mantras in which it says that Atma, Sarvamedam, I mean, all that is here is Atma. So it describes like that. What is in the front is Atma, what is in the back is Atma, and what is right that is also Atma. But I am taking differently now. Consciousness has no length, no breadth, no above, no right, no left, not front, not back, no form. Consciousness is formless. But consciousness is not there. You are invariably there. That's what we proved yesterday. You are invariably there. If you are not there, there is nothing. You are invariably there. Other comes and goes. You are invariably there. A formless consciousness, you are even in a waking state, deep sleep state and dream state. Everywhere. You are Anvaya. You are the one who is invariable. And all other than that, in this living being, in this bhuta, are variable. They come and go. We have to go a long way. So now look at it this way. So space is consciousness is. Star is consciousness. We have to accommodate everything now, one by one. We have to grab everything. So space is consciousness is. Star is consciousness is. And therefore the limitless consciousness is space is. Space is limitless consciousness is. How do you have brought limitless? Because formless. That's how it is formless. Formless means what? Formless means what? You are formless and yet you are there all the time, invariably. Means what is your dimension? If you have no dimension, no breadth, no height, no this, then what is your dimension? Limitless. Spatially limitless, understand? Spatially limitless. Spatially. Spatially you are limitless. That's how now I am covering the space. So space is awareness is, star is awareness is, and therefore the limitless awareness is space is limitless awareness is. So now the question, between the limitless awareness, that is you, and the star, or between limitless awareness, you, and the space, what is the distance? Amma said 0. Good. Space is, consciousness is. And therefore, definitely space is pervaded by what? Consciousness. So, limitless consciousness and the space. What is the distance? There cannot be distance. Any distance will be always in the form of space. Any distance will be always in the form of space. What is the distance between me and you right now? Oh, Swami, so many kilometers, something. It will be in space. But the very space exists in consciousness. Space is, consciousness is. Space is not, consciousness is. What is independent, you can think definitely. So when the space is, consciousness is, means the consciousness invariably present in the space. And even in the absence of space, you are present. And therefore, basically, between the limitless consciousness and the space, there is zero distance. Could you follow? So between space and the stars, what is the distance? Between space and moon, let's say. Between space and the moon, what is the distance? Forget about moon. Take this. Between space and the cliff, what is the distance? No distance. Right? If there is a distance between space and the cliff, it will be in form of what? It will be in form of what? Space. Therefore, between space and the cliff, there will not be any distance. You can understand this. Basically, it's simple. Between space and the moon, what is the distance? No distance. Okay, now tell me this. The moon is in consciousness, right? Otherwise, moon is, consciousness is. So, consciousness pervades the moon. That you can see, understand very well. So, I am conscious of the moon. Therefore, moon is pervaded by the consciousness, that is me. So, between consciousness, you, and the moon in consciousness, what is the distance? No, please tell me after thinking. I'm repeating the question. Between you, the limitless consciousness, right, and the moon in consciousness, that consciousness, what is the distance?
None.
Zero, right? Good. No distance, right? No distance. Because basically you, the limitless consciousness, and the moon in consciousness, there is no distance. Between limitless space and the moon, what is the distance? That's how. So between limitless consciousness and the moon in consciousness, what is the distance? No distance. If at all you want to talk about the distance between limitless consciousness and moon in consciousness, if you want to talk about a distance, that distance will be in space. But the space exists in what? Consciousness. And therefore, basically between moon and the limitless consciousness, there is no distance. No distance. At all there is a distance that will be in space, but the space itself exists in consciousness. And therefore, moon, you can tell like that. Moon exists in space. Between moon and space, there is no distance, I can understand. No problem. But the space exists in consciousness. And therefore, between moon and this consciousness, that is you, there is no distance. Consciousness is limitless, and therefore definitely there is no distance. But if you cannot appreciate that way, this is the way we can do. So, between I, the consciousness, and the moon in consciousness, if there is a distance, that would be in space. But the space itself exists in consciousness, and therefore between space and consciousness, that is I, there is no distance. And therefore, everywhere write I, then it makes sense. Where consciousness and moon, consciousness and body, that doesn't imply. Consciousness, that is you. That's we have proved already. The consciousness, formless consciousness, that is you. We are in a process now. We are on a path of proving that this Atma, the consciousness, is Brahman, limitless. So we have to cover moon and everything and the space and everything. Otherwise, how will you prove? If you cannot if you cannot accommodate the space, how will you say the consciousness is limitless? You have to talk about space and the objects that exist in space, etc. So between consciousness and the space, there cannot be any distance. And so therefore in unconsciousness, there is a space. In space there is a moon, in space there is a sun, in space there are the stars, in space all the planets, all of them, the whole world, the physical universe is in space, and space in consciousness. And therefore between consciousness and any object in space, there is zero distance. Between you and any object in the universe, there is a zero distance. No, Swamiji, distance of space, but the space itself is in consciousness. Between space and you, what is the distance? No distance, Swamiji. Bas, that's all. And therefore between you and any object in the space, no distance. The very space, the distance will be always in space, but the space itself exists in consciousness. And therefore, between consciousness and any object in the world, there is a zero distance, really speaking. And so, there is no distance between consciousness and the physical world. Abba. Now, this is not enough. This is not enough. We'll have to cover some few steps more to discover that I am limitless Brahman. We'll see tomorrow. Not tomorrow, sorry, Tuesday. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.